Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Strategic Marketing Group Conversation. Today, Wednesday, the 2nd of September. My name is Jordi Mon. I'm from the Product Marketing team, and I see that in the agenda, we've got already a few questions. So, Sid, you're the first one.
Thanks, Jordi. First of all, thanks for the video. That was super helpful. And thanks. Great that we're making all content public. I think that will be a great boon.
It is. I apologize for making it first unlisted, then private. I misread some indications there, and now it's obviously public.
Cool.
Ashish, do you?
Oh, thanks for that.
I think my answer is there, but we try to make everything on our slide so that it can be a public video. If there's something confidential, then we link it so that people inside can click to see it if it's personal and confidential and not meant for everybody else.
Cool.
Yours is next, Sid.
Yeah, have we thought about linking our Forrester study from the GitLab ROI page? That is the page you'll find if you Google GitLab ROI.
Okay, you jumped into question number 6, and Mahesh, I believe, has an answer for that. Would you like to verbalize it?
Sure, Sid, I think that's a great suggestion. We should immediately make that swap, and we are working on making an ROI calculator that is more web-friendly, which is better than what's currently out there. So at that time, we can make both those options available for our prospects. So we'll make that change.
Yeah, so Mahesh, what do you think about just, we have that page now and it links to 2 calculators, which both aren't very good. How do you feel about just adding a third option at the top that just links out to the Forrester one? That should be five minutes of work, and we don't have to have our calculator ready before we make that change.
That is correct. That's exactly what we will do. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I jumped to 6. I'll jump back to 5. How are impressions of content made by the strategic marketing team trending over time, or group trending over time?
So I'll help answer that. This is Ashish. We've started tracking for the last few weeks the tracking of our main web pages. We've divided them into the public-facing pages and the handbook pages. As you know, a lot of our content was there. And deliberately, as we move our content to public-facing website, the marketing website, we're seeing the appropriate traffic kind of move. We're redesigning our pages in the midst of doing a lot of work, including engineering and design. We've started to see some of them. Our goal is to replicate results that we're getting with more traction, more conversions, etc. And now that we are tracking this, our eyes are on like, how can we improve this? What can we do to increase inbound organic traffic? What SEO terms to use, etc. I'm not still able to say confidently that we're able to track from impressions to business closed, and we are kind of trying to make that happen. It requires some engineering under the hood in terms of like collecting the right data, kind of making it work and tracking it all the way. But that's our intention. From impressions to business, what are closed, ISCV generated, what are these pages helping us with? So we're on our journey, but not there yet.
Thanks. And I'm saying this because I think that at GitLab, I have not heard in meetings people say, hey, your audio is could be better. So raise your hand if you think that Ashish's audio could be better if he wasn't using the microphone of his laptop, but using a direct microphone.
Yeah, I have heard that yesterday, and I will change it. It is a direct microphone. Something changed in my settings between the last.
Yes, that wasn't. You didn't come through like that when we met last time.
So it's option, and if you're using a Mac, it's option and then the volume button in the top right. But sometimes it reverts back. You need other people to tell you. And I think at GitLab, I've not seen us be kind enough to each other to tell each other like, hey, your audio is a bit off, or your video is a bit off, or stop wearing striped shirts because really it's messing with your green screen. And some people did, but it took a long time. And I think that's the thing with remote, like we have an intuitive sense of how we come across in the real world. Even then, if you had bad breath, like it's painful, but it's nice if someone tells you. And I think we should be, if we want to be the world's best remote company, we got to be better about these things and telling people.
Todd had a comment on this, I believe.
Yes, we're tracking, our goal is to track impressions across multiple teams in marketing. And it's not a straightforward task because there's impressions happening from all different platforms. So it becomes somewhat manual. So our marketing ops team is working with all of our teams, including Ashish's team, who's actually a little bit ahead on this, thankfully, to come up with a standard way to do it so that our impressions per cost can be uniform across marketing. So I just wanted to make the team aware of that. This is a new change for us. So we are figuring out a standard way to count impressions.
Thanks, Todd. So we're jumping onto question number seven. With that is, would you like to verbalize that, Sid?
Yeah, I think I asked about VCC, version control and collaboration earlier, and they said, oh, we're changing it back to SCM. So I was wondering when that was planned.
Let me address that because I think you asked that in my one-on-one and I said, oh yeah, I think that was a mistake. Well, Ashish walked me through it yesterday and we actually did some searches and John can verbalize this in a minute, but we need to rank for both. And version control actually is, I was sort of thinking that was more content-y, but it turns out if you go search for version control, it's very developer centric. So we need to do both is essentially it. SCM, unfortunately, is mostly supply chain management. But if you search for source code management, we do rank highly, and that is important as well. So John, do you want to verbalize? But I just wanted to kind of call out my mistake
Okay.
there. So
Totally cool. If the answer is we're not switching, that answers my question.
I think the answer is both. John, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, if I come off of mute, if I could find the mute button. No, Sid, we researched this about 4 months ago. Jordy led the effort in the issue list linked there to try to identify a term that was going to avoid confusion between our category versus the solution, the use case we're working on. And we went through you can see the discussion there, we worked through it. And we landed on the version control and collaboration, with version control being the term that we think would drive a lot of traffic. But Todd's exactly right. I think we have to use both. It's not either or, it's and, because people are searching for both. And so, but I think what Todd suggested earlier about looking at, if we can do search volume by persona research, I think we should try to do that too. We're constantly looking at this stuff.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, is GitLab behind Azure DevOps? Based on our comparison page, we're trailing.
So Sid, let me answer that. So at the time that we put this infographic together, we took a very simple binary approach, supported, not supported, certain capabilities. And the idea then was, not open ourselves to too many challenges out there, but we ironically or coincidentally, we just revisited that issue earlier this week. And we have come up with a more nuanced approach that is both fair and consistent, and that would account for our advantages in a lot of places, which is not coming through in this infographic. So we're going to be updating that this week and using that approach going forward. The other point I want to make is we're also working with a neutral third party to do more of an in-depth analysis. So as that analysis starts to roll in, the comparisons done by them are going to override or replace what we have currently out there on the webpage.
Okay, that sounds good. Feel free to ping me when you have a new one. I also think kind of the green bars kind of don't match what's below here, because it's only saying what's measured. Like if you look at the green bars, oh yeah, no, it kind of matches. Okay. Sorry, it does match. Yeah, my bad. I was misreading that. Thanks for that answer.
Sure.
Mike Miranda, you're next with question number 9. Would you like to verbalize it?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So just complimenting the customer reference dashboard, I think that looks great. But I was more wondering if there are specific industries that play better than others, and if there are specific industries we're targeting to sort of even out our spread.
Ashish, would you like to comment on that? I'm happy to verbalize it. So Ashish says that we see more traction with our financial and technology industries. Yes, we're always looking for diversity in our references, specifically expanding industries where we have customers and not enough references. References can be in many forms: case studies, sales calls, analyst calls, speaking at webinars, virtual events. We welcome more nominations all the time.
All right, so can you hear me? Can I add to that? I think
yes.
My mic is really giving me problems. So the goal of the reference dashboard also is for the customer reference team to make sure that certain customers who have agreed to be references for us are not touched too many times, and there are not too many calls made to them for few cases. So it could be that, you know, UBS has decided to take some time out and agree to talk to other customers. What we don't want is that UBS gets 12 calls in a quarter and they finally say, you know, that's taking up too much of our time, and, you know, we don't want to do this anymore. So we want to even out the touches across the customers. The dashboard also helps us understand who's making the requests, what kind of requests do we need to cater to. So that's the idea with this, you know, where we have gaps, coverages, and from the graphs, you can see that we could use help in other sectors where, in other industries where we don't have as many references as in the financial and IT technology sector. So we welcome nominations there.
Is that something, Ashish? And thank you for the answer. You mentioned expanding where we have a lot of customers and not enough references. Is that somewhere we could see in sales? I mean, I might have missed that, but it would be cool to kind of have that front of mind so I can help in that effort when I'm speaking with customers.
Absolutely. I do not want to answer on behalf of the customer reference team because I do not know the detail to that extent, but I know like we could use more references in the public sector, for example, is a good example. But we can get back to you with very specific asks to kind of help bolster that.
Cool, thank you.
Jim Riley, you're up next.
Yes, so a few of us had a call with Tanuja today talking about the sales portal, and kind of a light bulb clicked for me that might be helpful is we've got tons and tons of great content. It can be a challenge to, one, find it, but also to understand what's new. And yes, we have the field flash, and yes, we have this, but just thinking of a simple change log, and it looks like some folks are contributing there, that there's now a master inventory. Just be able to drop in periodically and see what pieces are new or updated, I think would help the field. So it looks like we're making progress on that. So thank you.
Exactly. So in the video it was announced, but Cindy, if you want to verbalize your answer. Oh, she's not on call, but yes. As said in the video, as Cindy points out, there's an asset inventory that can be segmented by use case. I can't really remember right out of the top of my head, but it collects all the content created by the strategic marketing department. And you can find the issue that motivated the creation of that content, if it is updated or outdated. And there you go. In the screen, there you go.
So I want to add to that answer. So we've created this one-stop shop where every content that we create, you can search and, you know, look at it many different ways that allows you to look at whatever content you're looking for. For example, you could look for only continuous integration content and, you know, see what we have in there. We can look only for demos, only for, you know, certain web pages, etc. However, that being said, I'd like to kind of take a moment to talk about an approach that we are changing to our enterprise marketing, which actually I would not like to go down the path of a change log. So what we have learned over time due to GitLab transparency is that we have a lot of people out there in the DevOps world, practitioners, decision makers, who actually like the fact that we publish our work and they can come look at it. And there are two examples here of where like they found our content really useful, and they acted as internal champions for GitLab, and our sales team was kind of like looking at engaging with them. So a traditional model where, we would create content, we would do enablement, and we would train some teams and work with the campaigns team, sales teams, partners, and then indirectly touch customers and prospects, investors, analysts. We are changing that approach. We believe that we should treat the entire DevOps kind of universe as our prospective GitLab champion field. We want to turn everybody out there into a GitLab champion. And there's just like a sample of all the different kinds of personas out there who are self-studying, self-educating, making decisions. As a lot of you know, and I use the number 70%, it could be 80, it could be 65, but a lot of the sale happens when the salesperson is not present in the room. So our goal is to make our content easy to find at the right time, the right content that everybody can use to make decisions. And when our sales folks turn up, they find an ally of sales people inside of the organizations kind of helping us navigate the decision making within the corporations. So having said that, what that means is we're taking all of our content and deliberately putting it on our marketing website. The handbook will only have more process oriented content and content that we use to build other content, like a messaging house, but everything is going to go to our website, which means we do not want to maintain a change log on the handbook and the sales portal anymore from a content perspective. We could use the sales portal link as, here's additional content, but we'll point to the web pages. We were not going to put content in the handbook. So hopefully that helps answer the approach we are taking to building and publishing content. We're not going to be, maintaining change logs, etc.
Thank you.
Todd, I believe you wanted to add something there.
Did you call on me? Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I did.
So I just linked to the same thing, but the version that's in the handbook. And I think sales and SDRs would love that. So Jim, you might check that out because you can search on like CI/CD and find the latest content. I wonder if we could simplify a version of that and just drop it on one of the public web pages, like here's how to find all the content, just as an iteration, because it's such a cool thing. And I like how it searches use case and it searches keyword and all of that. Super cool. So maybe think about if you could make an iteration before it's even, completely polished and put it somewhere more public even than the handbook on the website somewhere.
Maybe a too concrete suggestion, but like if we have all the stuff in Data Studio, maybe we can make something that every time we add something to Data Studio, it pushes it to a Twitter account and a Slack channel. And then people would have and an email list. And then people would have their change log of like people who really want to kind of dip into the fire hose. They can just see every new piece of content coming by.
The GitLab fire hose.
Cool. Yeah. Or the strategic marketing fire hose or whatever you call it. GitLab even more unfiltered. GitLab no filter.
GitLab raw.
Ooh, okay. Next one is I love the GitHub versus GitLab roadmap visualizations. We're actually using them in our board slide. So thank you, Mahesh and team for this.
By the way, remember the call to action to everyone in this call that the inventory is there for everyone to use, obviously, and to point us out what is updated, what works, what doesn't work, and that we can update it and or deprecate or change and create new stuff. Ashish, you are adding something. Okay, you're complimenting Todd's last comment. So I think there are no more questions.
Thanks, team.
Thank you, Jordi, for hosting this week's group conversation.
My pleasure. Take care all.